Hello. Happy Monday. I woke up this morning like my ideas were flowing in my brain. I had to get right to my messenger so I could text myself the ideas. I love waking up like that. So I want to talk today a little bit more about mindset and how that applies to creation. My goal with teaching my work is to help us understand our energetic body, our invisible parts that's doing all the manifesting for us. And so on Monday, each day of the week, there's a different way that I tune to my energy wellness for the sake of just keeping myself fully functioning and at my highest potential. So on Mondays, I approach the mindset part, and that goes in a couple of ways. First, mindset as a whole. How am I feeling as myself as a whole? And then how am I feeling specifically for what I have going on? And the difference is how fast your energy is moving. So when you're thinking about a topic on a general level, your speed is more slow and zoomed out. When you are looking at something with details, with more specificities that relate to you and your preferences, that energy is speeding up. If you think about like a blank piece of paper and like a sound, and you think about the first time you hear like a beep, it makes one mark on the paper. And if you think about if it makes a bigger beep, it makes maybe a bigger mark. Maybe it even presses a little deeper and makes a little bit darker of an impression on the paper. If you then think about like how frequency has moved on a paper and sort of scattered, you can sort of visualize how a lot of noise could make streaks, zigzags. And in the same way, you can sort of take that idea to your thoughts. When you think about something as a whole, it's sort of like a dot in that direction. And when you start thinking about the preferences, how you prefer it, how you believe it's going to unfold for you, that's like you moving and speeding it up. All of these parts are important for you to understand when you want to do the creating on purpose, when you're wanting to think on purpose, when you're wanting to understand how thoughts become things and how I can think more well for myself so that I can attract more well for myself. This is never I want to do better. It's not, I'm not good enough. This is, I deserve more love, more joy. Thanks for those likes and loves. I appreciate it. I deserve more, and I'm the only one that can give it to me because I'm the only one that can access my thoughts. I'm the only one that can access my emotional body. I am the only one that can manifest for me. I can let other people influence my ideas, influence my energy, but it's still me letting them do that. I could easily at any moment take back the reins and begin thinking for myself, begin deciding for myself. And this is the thing that I want to make sure that we are understanding on this Monday. So generally is a zoomed out, slower speed, specific. Other sense, what are they? Other sense, what are they? How do you mean? So like our human senses, we have our sight and our sound, our touch, and our smell. Our intuitive senses, we get feelings. We'll get like a flash of a knowing or even a flash of a visual. We'll get like a random thought or a song or an idea or a phrase. You know, we could see a synchronicity that pings some sort of response in our body and we aren't even sure why. The more intuitive nudges, the louder you're leaning into those intuitive capabilities, the more strong they get. Yeah, baby.
I took the soda out at the fridge.
Oh, thank you. Are you going to have it? Or you just moved it for me?
I mean the freezer.
You put it in the fridge?
I put it out the freezer.
Is it on the counter?
Yes.
Okay, can you put it in the refrigerator?
Can I have it?
Can we share it?
Okay.
Cool.
Can I get it in an ice cream?
Yes. Oh God, I love that you said that. This is one of the most fun conversations to have. I usually am talking about this with a person and their like lovers or their partners or boyfriend or husband, wife. But other people are the perfect examples of, of ourself. And I know that in the beginning of this, I was such a cynical, sarcastic, low density person. I was like an unchecked rabid squirrel. It was nuts. Oh my God, the bubbles. I quit drinking Diet Coke in November, and it was sad and hard and best for me. It was really good for me, but I have just now started kind of loving like root beer drink almost as much as the Diet Coke drink is like. I just don't want to keep deteriorating my bones and my brain for aspartame, you know what I mean? Even though it was so good, God, it was a tough move. Anyway, it's funny because I've quit harder things and I cry the most about the Diet Coke. I do joke about the booger sugar one, but it's just because it's funny. The Diet Coke when I'm actually serious. Anyway, I do feel better in my body, and I have this like a cysty tumor. It's not a tumor on my side that's been there for years. Thank you, I appreciate that. It's been there for years, and I swear to beans, it's gotten smaller since drinking less of the soda, and I also sort of quit a lot of like my candy. When I learned that Snickers has arsenic or had arsenic in it, I tend to be a person, I won't just eat one Snickers. I will eat 3 full Snickers in a setting. You know what I mean? When I like something, I do it a lot. So it's not good for me to eat even a fair amount of arsenic, let alone 3 fair amounts of arsenic. Like the nerds, they said that 80 tiny nerd balls were more nerds, had more arsenic in those nerds than it would be good for you to have in an entire year. 80! And I could eat 800 of them. I could take nerds and I would. You know, like nerds were not a candy that I would eat like Snickers, but anyway. Excuse me. It's funny because, you know, when I've been doing this work for 10 years now. Body manifesting was one of the first things that I learned, and I was able to watch my body, watch my weight shift, watch my health improve without really changing my diet. You know, I was able to do all of that, still eating donuts all the time. And all the things like that's, and I truly believe that it was kind of important for me to learn it that way. Now I know as a person, I'm 47 now. So when I started that I was, I was more closer to 37. 10 years living in body makes a big difference. My body was more, like elastic 10 years ago, right? The bounce back was there. And so I want to continue this flexibility and malleability, and I want to stay like alive in my best wellness. So I don't want to keep stretching myself to the fullest of its capacity. Yes, I know I can eat and drink whatever I want and still have the same shape, but I could feel the sugar sort of sitting in between my bones. I could feel in my guts, and this isn't something that I would debate on, but I could feel in my guts that when I was drinking that soda, I was doing a little bit of harm to my body. And that quiet little nag finally caught up to me loud enough where I was like, all right, I'm done. And trust me, I have been drinking Diet Coke since I was a teenager. It was one of the first things. Yeah, yeah. I actually, one of the things I woke up hearing this morning was creating these connect the dot sessions. In energy world work, we can look at every part of our life and string it back to some sort of spiritual, emotional connection. And this is not to say that something that has turned into a diagnosis could just be thought back into the oblivion. It's not to say it can't, but sometimes it's gone further than that. However, I do believe that in understanding where these things stem from, we can start soothing that connection. And while we're in that process of using our Western medicine, we can also be using our energetic medicine. And that blending is how we like really empower ourselves as a human. I love that my first work outside of like food service and hospitality was the medical field. And I spent 10 years working in that space and sort of all over the board. You know, I started as a like medical assist. I started as medical assistant, you know, working directly with the patients, working with the doctors. Oh, I won't let, and that's, you know, it's funny. I won't let my kids drink that. And and so my and so then here is this. I am a mom that is like how do we say 420 friendly. And my children know that I partake in that. And I'm not sharing obviously that. However, I'm not uncomfortable with the idea that when they become adults, they would try that for themselves. I didn't even want them to drink Diet Coke when they became an adult. And that's where it was like, okay, Nancy, so what are you doing for yourself? You know, but it did take that reminding all the time. Well, if you don't want your kids to do it, what about you? What about your child? What about your inner child that say you know better? Oh God, thank you for saying that. I I thank myself every day for staying. Like it makes me so like cheesy how close I was to being done and thinking that all was lost. And and the difference. The 180 is legit. Too legit to quit. So when we're thinking in our mind and we're taking a topic, whether it's food or love or money, that first general space, just the tab on the folder, is a zoomed out, right? And I kind of was like a lost person for a long time. I always wanted to fit into a group. I wanted to belong. I wanted to be a helpful part of the group. You know what I mean? And when I wasn't, I didn't feel like I had a purpose. It didn't feel like I made sense. And that's usually when I would start like squirreling around and getting myself into like not good for me trouble. And now I'm so content with just myself that yeah, it's like I didn't even realize how much I was sort of setting myself up for these opportunities to find my goodness by experiencing how bad I could help them get. You know, it's really kind of wild sitting here and looking back at me and how I moved without being mean to me, without beating me up. You know, I beat myself up enough before. I don't need to do any more of that. I want to understand, you know? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just think about the fact that, you know, when I first, yeah, boo.
Can I fill this up with water?
Why are you getting that? If you fill it with water, the water stays inside. You don't dribble it all over the house.
Okay.
Okay?
So can I?
Yes. Don't make me regret it. So when you're thinking about these different topics in different areas, the topic is sort of like the tab. When you think about how well you do inside of them, that's sort of like the index or the table of contents. And then when you get into precise situations and interactions and engagement, that's like the meat and the potatoes of the story. And when you're wanting to shift a whole subject, sometimes you aren't in the right place mentally to address that subject. So, for example, when you're wanting to, so you are human, and you have this invisible part of you, a very large invisible part of you that has like four sections: your shadow, your inner child, your ego, and your higher self. So your invisible self has four sections. Each of those sections would like and require a different part of you and your awareness for its fullest well-being. Just like some children have an allergy and some don't. Some children require a little bit more of this nutrient than another, and some parts of you require more tending, and some parts of you require more allowing. Some parts of you require more soothing and like tending, like nurturing, pampering even, really kind of adoring and protecting. And this, it's really cool that you will be able to inside of your body feel your inner child soothe and heal and mature. You can feel your shadow self relax. You can feel your ego become comfortable with you in a way that it doesn't try to fuck you up. It just wants to give you a really good idea. And it actually trusts that you will see it through, because that's ultimately what the ego is wanting. It wants you to have the best experience, and it just decides to spearhead and take over all of your other faculties because it doesn't trust them. It thinks they're incompetent. And so it just, I will take over. Thanks for sharing. And that's what our unchecked ego will do. And so, and then we have our higher self. Our higher self can bring us the most reward, the most replenishment, the most, and it will interject the least. It will not just wake up and put itself in your position. You have to invite it, like the friendly vampire. You have to do on purpose a little intermingling with that. And you have to keep it going. You have to like feedback with it, or it's sort of, the use it or lose it. Your invisible parts want that too. So as you are going through, and then we have our inner child. Our inner child wants playful movement. It wants to think light. It wants you to put your hands on it with love, like you as it. It wants you to be loving to your body. It wants you to be light in your mind. It can definitely get into cahoots with your shadow self, like picking on others. So there is a little bit of parenting and reparenting that's important with your shadow self and your inner child, so that you can help that inner child part of you sort of grow to a part of you that is attracting more up to speed. I personally felt this a lot in dating. When I am newer in relationships, I feel the youngest in my inner child self. I can feel the most unchecked, unruly, like unabashed even. I'm just like, fuck it. This is it. This is me. Like it, take it or leave it, Yeah. Right. Well, that's the thing. Like for me, I knew that I was the one doing it but I couldn't tell which part of me was responsible. And I think, and maybe not everybody, but I think for myself, the way that I like to understand things, I needed to be able to label invisible parts. I needed to put boundaries on things that I can't see so that I can feel my way. Oh God, Nance, I can't believe you just said that. So that I can feel my way. I can't believe I just said that. So I can feel my way through it on the other side. I wish Mary was here. But we are able to do that, you know? Yeah, right. Exactly. So, yeah. But we kind of get to decide when we want to speed things up and we want to slow them down. When you're thinking about something and it feels good to think about it, that's moving in the direction of speed, zooming in. And if it feels good, it's likely to unfold good for you, good for you. And when you're thinking dreadful, doubtful, fearful thoughts, that's also zooming in, but a more slowed down, not preferred energy. When you're thinking about the topic without how it's going to relate to you, how it's going to apply, that's more general. So if you're flipping through the tabs and you land on one spot, like maybe it's your physical health. If the idea of your physical health feels too stressful, it may not be helpful to you as a whole being to think about that right now. It might be more helpful to think about something else. Think about something that you enjoy creative wise, or maybe something that maybe you like your work, maybe something with your parenting or your family, maybe something in your social life, maybe anything else besides your body, if thinking about your body in this moment is going to bring you stress. Now, when you're wanting to sort of sit down and address yourself, like through shadow work, there could obviously be stress, but you want to do that on purpose. If you're driving to work and an idea comes in your mind and all of a sudden you're feeling like this insurmountable weight of dread, you're going to want to soothe yourself. Let yourself go to work and have the day and then get back home. Pour some tea, get out your journal, and do the dirty work for yourself the way that you deserve. You know, get into that writing, see all those guts and components. You'll probably be getting nitpicks and like ideas, nuggets all day long. Put it all down. Well, right. And the thing is, our self will get our attention however, wherever we are on the board. I used to be in the bar and be in the bathroom at the bar. And that was like the speed of life that I was moving, you know, especially before becoming a mom. I wasn't doing a whole lot of good things. I was just fucking off. And so even though in those spaces I was not doing the best things for me, there were still parts of me that could hear good ideas from me. There were parts of me that was still protecting me and taking care of me, even when I wasn't taking care of me. And I can understand and see them now. Back then, I just felt like I kept getting lucky, and kind of. But I was getting lucky because I believed I would get lucky. I had evidence I was going to get lucky and that it would work out for me. Yes, it would work out for me that I would get the thing that wasn't that great for me, but that's the cool thing about being a creator. Nobody decides right or wrong except for you. Anybody else that wants to drink Diet Coke, you are welcome to do that. That's not necessarily wrong for you. Had somebody came and told me it was wrong for me to drink Diet Coke before I was ready to stop drinking it, it would have just made me drink more. But at some point in my almost 50 years of self, did I realize that this habit that I started at like 16 years old because I hated my body and my mom drank Diet Coke. She had some pre-diabetic stuff, and I was learning about calories for the first time. And that if I'm drinking about 600 calories a day in sodas, if I take about that many calories a day, that could do something. And it did. Almost immediately, as a young child, I gave myself the first example of losing weight. I lost like 10 pounds, and I was like, oh, wow. But that also let the program of, if I want to shift my body, I have to take away. That's where that started to grow from. And to get all the way back through that and to learn that that's not actually the way it has to be. That's one of the ways that you can crumble the cookie. But baby, you can do lots of different cookies, you know? But now, as I was finally ready for me to give up that was bad for me, I would even say that I could have probably potentially done more damage with that than the other things that I was doing. And I'm thinking about how much of it I would ingest on both ratios, on both scales. And not to say we should do one or the other. I'm just saying, as a person who was about to go that way, because this way was not good anymore. It's really cool to be here and to have let myself one by one shift the things as I felt ready. Maybe it would have made more sense to quit soda and add candy junk food before booger sugar for some people. Maybe it made more sense for people to quit drinking and not go to the bar. I can understand all that. It didn't make sense for me. When you tell me I can't do something, I want to do it. I'm gonna do it. Even if I don't actually even want to do it. I'm just like, please, God, don't say I can't do it. Because the Henri in me will be like, let's make a bet. But I also know that that's my ego, and I can soothe her, and hey, we don't have anything to prove. You know you're the baddest. You know you're my favorite. This person is just trying to get that feedback for themselves. They're trying to find that for themselves, maybe by trying to siphon it a little bit from you, but just no. No. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, me and my mom, I had a great childhood, but me and my mom did not have a great relationship. So I feel like I had kind of a magical childhood. And mind you, it looked a lot like the movie Goonies. So that could have got me in like CPS nowadays. But as a kid, from that perspective, oh, I loved it. So, if my mom were still here, she could look back and say, maybe I didn't do the best parenting. But from my seat, 10 out of 10. But did you die? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I had fun. I had friends that lived like next door behind our house. We had this like patch of woods. We were always like going to this like nearby stream woods place. It was the best kind of like wholesome childhood fun, in the best way that I know how to look and call it in as a person. This is the only experience I truly know is the ones I've let myself go through. But yeah, I yeah, I love that I can give my kids a little bit of that. I don't just. I swear we were able to go outside and we came back when the street lights were on. And that's now like I need to check in with my littles every so many minutes. I need to still hear you're good. Yeah, it's just wild and fun and crazy. But no, I think I had the best childhood. And I wouldn't have wanted to go through it differently. Yeah, no. However, I guess a part that I could say would have been cool to have would be a little bit like more nurturing from my parents. So that's kind of like a big thing for me, for my littles. Like I like to be, I want my children to think that I am the same kind of person they are. I don't want this like hierarchy sense. I want them to be respectful because they deserve to be respected. And we practice this, this because we deserve this, not because I am better or older. I think that it makes my life more easy, when they respect me. And it definitely doesn't trigger my ego as much. But I also believe that my favorite way to practice that is by showing them I respect them and giving them the space to practice that back. I also don't encourage my children to respect crappy adults. They've come in contact with people that don't respect them. And I can tell, like, maybe they think less of children. And, I'm not the kind of person that's going to fight everyone and try to contort or control everyone's frame of mind. But when it comes to helping my children grow into healthy adults and they're experiencing an adult that doesn't respect them, you will not see me gaslight my kids into telling them they got to respect that adult. Absolutely not. Nope. Yeah, I definitely can say that I'm divorced. And while my kid's dad, he wasn't an involved parent. He's not as involved. The things that he believes match mine. So for the most part, there's only been like one topic we really did not agree on. I won, but we did not agree. But I won, so who cares? And I don't mean it like that, but sometimes you're the mom. You're the mom. You have to decide, And sometimes that means doing something that's different, especially when it's your child. It's like, no, I'm just not okay with drinking this particular cup of Kool-Aid. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I haven't gone through those exact words, but pretty similar. I think, I don't know if it's, obviously I don't know every child, but my son is my youngest and I have two daughters. My son not seeing his dad as much, I feel like when he's disappointed by that, he feels like it's like a friend thing. Oh, dad wants to hang out with his friends, not me. It's not the same sense of love. I try to hang out with Elias and he's not interested. But he knows that I am there for him. Like last night I was folding his shirt right side in. He was, getting ready to get dressed. And he came out of the bathroom to ask if I had found clothes for him as I was undoing his shirt. And he just got this such a cheesy smile. It was appreciation. And he's about to turn 9. So I know he's old enough. But it was just so sweet to see this face of thank you. And he came over and gave me this super big cheesy hug, and he's almost 9. So that's not all the time now. He definitely does not always have hugs and time for mom. And because he's young, things are still moving so fast for him. He's not always as present as I would like him to be, but I do get those those tiny snatches where it's like, oh, thank you, God. It's like your favorite bite. Ugh. I know, they're so good. It's so good. It's really cool when you can see your young people developing into good people, not just like a grown up or a person with their own preferences and choices, which I really love, you know? Yeah. I feel like cherish is a perfect word for where I'm at in my mother stage. My oldest is 14 and my youngest is 9 in May. And I'm just now realizing I've got less than 10 years. I've done these big life segments in 10-year chunks. And it's like, oh shit, I only got 10 more years left of parenting. And I know how fast these 10 years have moved by in different speeds and different spaces, but I've done a lot of things for like 10 years. Super weird. So I'm like, oh my God, I only got one more 10-year segment as the mom. Then I can go on and do all my other fun, crazy shit where I'm not dragging my littles with me, but I only have 10 more years for this. Whoa, fun years. My mom had, so I'm 47. I have a sister 9 years older than me and a sister's 9 years younger than me. And that's kind of like you, like having this big span of like motherhood. I just think that's crazy. I feel like this span that I have is medium small. Like it's pretty close. Like everybody's close together. Whoa. So all of your siblings would have been like my mom's last baby. My mom's last baby, she had 9 miscarriages total. So not all of them came after Pammy, but of a lot, came between my sister closest to my age and my last baby sister. Um, but yeah, and then I think about that. Like, wow, could you imagine how my mom, I mean, obviously she wouldn't have been able to be pregnant that many years on end, but just if, the idea of like, whoa, shit, I could have a whole baseball team of siblings. But yeah, I love synchronicities. I love all of this human shit. I love this human shit. I love the spiritual stuff. I love the woo woo, and I love that I can make it all make sense scientifically. I like that I can play in the realm of make believe and then scientifically explain it to a T. Oh my God, to a T. Lipton. Little splash of milk. I just love everything. I just love everything. Oh God, you're so right. It totally is. And I love that, women that kind of get, and I'm probably the same with men too. I just don't know that many spiritual men, but spiritual women, like they know, they just know. You cannot take away the knowing. And that's like the best part of this. Now our alignment, we have to always tune in because our mood can be like stroked and moved around. But once we know, you can't take a faith away. You can't take knowing away. You can't unknow something. And that's like, oh, that's the fun stuff. So yeah, I wanted to share those nuggets about our mind, and getting specific speeds it up, brings it closer, and zooming out, generalizing helps it be further away. If thinking about a topic is stressing you out, give yourself a break and shift to another topic. Pick something else instead. Try animals. Look at the water. Use nature. But that right now topic is not going to provide your whole being with the shift you like. Like every day we wake up and we kind of get to move around on this board. I feel like it's so fun and funny in my mind. I wake up feeling like this game piece. And am I in Monopoly? Am I in Clue? Am I in Candyland? Is this Battleship? And then I kind of move it about that way. You know, well, if I'm in Battleship, I know I got to do this. And if I'm in Candyland, I know I'm going to roll and go. And if I know I'm in Clue, I better think for a minute. I better do a little bit of inventory here. You know? So the coolest thing about learning our inner self is helping you decide where you are on the real board. By the time things have already manifested, it's done. You've already thought it and heard it and seen it and known it so much. It's done. If you want something different, you have to go back to the drawing board, back to the undone, and spit it out a different way. And sometimes that requires a break for shadow work and a timeout for inner child movement. Our inner child is the main manifesting part of us. Yes, we use our higher self for synchronicity and moving closer on the board, but the inner child is the one that reaches out and takes it. It's like, and that's the part of you kind of want to have like always shined up and loved by you and knowing that you deserve good shit even on a Tuesday or a Monday. Yeah, that can be tough kind of going through that. And it feels, as a person who was so codependent before, I think a lot of us are, to some degree or another. It feels opposite of everything to go through like this re-isolating, not on purpose because you want to be alone, but you deserve better. You deserve to be treated right. You deserve respect. Hi. And sometimes, it's not like you're quitting your people, but you just aren't going to keep showing up to get shit on. You just won't do it, And they're like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years. So there were parts that felt lonely and there were parts that, felt exciting again and felt renewing and letting myself be good to me and with myself through all the parts was how I kept evolving and how it kept moving. You kind of get to learn that you are the one that says, I am healing. And you are the one that says, I have healed in a way that now I'm ready to go back into the world and start creating again. I don't have to hide anymore. I'm maybe not fully healed, but I feel strong. I'm not going to cry every time this comes at my way. I'm going to bob and weave. I'm going to think differently, and I can always take a break when I need a break. I can always slow down when I want to slow down. So I can decide I'm healing or I'm ready to get in the game again. I'm healing or I'm good. I'm stable. And we can decide I'm learning and I'm ready to practice and do it. I'm learning and now I'm ready to teach it. And all of those different gears are inner decided by you, whether we're doing it on purpose or not. When you're thinking about something that you have to do, maybe we call it procrastinating. I kind of think we're getting ready to be ready when we're procrastinating something. But when you're in your mind, you got something you got to do, and finally you're just like, all right, I'm doing this. And you just go and dive in. My favorite is when you go do it and it took like 2 minutes. You've been like ruminating on this for a month. And you just did it and it was done and there it is. Ta-da. Easy peasy. But it was hung up in your energy for all those moments that you just decided, no, not yet. No, not yet. And now it's just done. But all those moments not yetted, there was, because I would like it this way when I'm ready. I would like that to happen. And that's not going to happen yet, so I don't want to do that. And if I can't, I don't want to do that. So you can sort of notice and decide. Oh, God, my dog's going to bark. No, please don't. I think it's for you, baby. Did you reset your Wi-Fi?
I don't know how to reset my Wi-Fi.
Is your mom home?
No, she at work.
Do you have a video phone I can show you if you call me? Come here. Can you come in and look at my Wi-Fi and I can show you what my button is? I'll call you guys back. No, Tilla. No, Tilla.